guys, Comic Uno, and today I'm doing a review for The Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 4, called The Killer Within. A lot of things happen in this episode that I definitely want to talk about, so there will be spoilers in this review. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, watch the episode and then watch this review. Or if you like spoilers, then you're going to love this review. So let's talk about what happened in this episode. In this episode, it is Michonne and Andrea's story, and Rick and everyone else's story combined. Like, that's been my complaint with episode 2 and 3, was that they separated them. So now in this episode, we get to see everybody. Let's talk about Michonne and Andrea's story first, since that was a little less in this episode. Michonne wants to leave. Andrea's being tempted not to lead the governor, and that's pretty much it. And Andrea's being really stupid, because we all know that the governor's, well, at least people who know a little bit about the comic books, we all know that the governor is evil. But Andrea's a little gullible. It's like, we should stay here. He seems like a nice guy, because we're going to trust Merle, who we know isn't a nice guy. And Merle wants to find Daryl, so that's another big story also. Now let's get to what's going on with the Rick and the gang. So the two prisoners come and say, hey, we want to join your group. Well, everyone's kind of not willing for them to join the group, especially Rick, because you know Rick is not gullible. He pushes people away. He's not going to allow anyone in the group unless they prove themselves. And he's the complete opposite of Andrea, because Andrea will accept anybody. Say, oh, well, you could go in the group. Well, I definitely trust you. Rick doesn't trust anybody. Andrea trusts everybody. I think that's the best way to put it. So we get to see Rick's not trusting them, and pretty much everyone in the group doesn't trust them except T-Dog. And T-Dog's like, you know what? I'm sure they're not that bad of people. We should let them in the group. I think they prove themselves, and blah, blah, blah. Now, someone opens these gates and puts the generators on, so there's noise all around the prison. So, walkers, there's a big herd of walkers coming into them and coming towards them. We get to see Herschel, you know, he has his crutches, so he's all good. So, Herschel and Bethany, we're going to start with them. While the herd is coming, they get trapped into this little gate place, so they're all safe. So Herschel and Bethany, the two people that don't do anything in the show, are safe because they don't really know how to do anything. Then we have T-Dog and Carol team up, kinda, and they go their own direction with the herd, and T-Dog gets bit. So we all know he's gonna die. He doesn't get bit on the leg, he doesn't get bit on the finger. You know, he gets bit on, like, right here, so there's no cutting anything off. He's gonna die. So T-Dog says some lines in this episode, and he actually, you know, held his own in this episode, because he knows he's gonna die, and there's a herd of zombies coming, so he saves Carol. Carol runs off. No one actually knows Carol's alive. We don't know exactly where Carol is towards the end of this episode, but I'm sure she'll come back towards next episode, or she'll pull Andrea and meet up with Michonne. But, she's not in this, towards the end of this episode, but we know she does escape. And at least we hope she escapes. It seems like she's going to escape. So T-Dog actually plays the hero, and that's how he dies. Which, for a character that everyone kind of hated, I think that's kind of loyal. I mean, do I still, am I sad that T-Dog died? Not really. I think I'll still forget, you know, his character, because he kind of was a forgettable character, and I think people remember him because he's such a forgettable character. I wish he kind of developed more throughout the seasons. I feel like he should be a character that died in Season 1 because he hadn't done anything in Season 2. But I'm glad that they kind of sent him off in a really great way. And he did what Dale did, actually, because Dale's like, well, we have to save this person. He kind of played the morality card. He's like, well, you know, it's not right that we're letting these jailers and these prisoners not go in our group. So he played the same card Dale did, and guess what? T-Dog dies. So the same fate that Dale had, he had. So that's the whole T-Dog story, and I have to say, I think he did a really good job in this episode. And also, let's say that the prisoners, you know, like I said, they weren't going to join the group, but they kind of try to hold their own and say, hey, you know, you can trust us. So we find out the people who put the generators on are actually different prisoners who actually survived. So now the black prisoner, I don't know his name, he has a choice. He could kill one of his friends that was one of the prisoners who did all of this noise and made all the zombies go to prison, or he could kill Rick. And he kills the other guy. And he says, this shows, hey, you can trust us. So they don't show that they joined the group, but I'm sure by, next episode they'll be officially in the group. So you have the two prisoners. I know Axel's the other guy's name because I think he's actually important in the comic books. And the other guy who killed the prisoner. I think both of them are going to be important parts of the group, and I think they will join the group, and I think that should play an interesting part that we're getting new people into the group. So that's what we get with, Rick and all them. And now one of the most important things that happened in this episode. Now, think what was trending on Twitter. Lori goes into labor. She's going into labor, and she doesn't have Herschel around. She is stuck with Carl, Maggie, and herself because they're running away from the zombies. They get into this room because, again, they all get separated into the prison. So we get to see Lori, the baby's coming. So we get to see Lori actually is a good mother because she says, well, she can't give a natural birth because she has a C-section with Carl, and the same thing happens with this baby. And we get to see that Lori makes a decision. She says, give me the C-section. I know I'm not going to survive, but Maggie, you have to do this. And Maggie doesn't want to do this. She's like, come on, you can't do this. And so she does it anyways because that's Lori's wish. Carl sees all this. He sees her mother die. And Lori says, I'm sorry I wasn't the best mother, but, I love you. This world's going to turn you upside down, but don't change who you are. And try to protect your brother or sister, protect this baby, protect Rick. And I think that's what Carl is going to do. He's going to change as a character because of this. And Lori does die. And Carl has to shoot her in the head. That way she doesn't turn into a zombie. And just that whole scene was really touching. And it really changes. I mean, does it change my thoughts on Lori? Yeah, a little, actually. I don't like Lori. I didn't really like Lori. I still think she was a pretty bad mother. But towards the end, I think both her and T-Dog kind of redeemed themselves and died in a really great way. And they both did die. The baby, at first, you're like, because Maggie's like, because usually to get the heart started, for a baby to, tap him back, and at first you're like, oh no, this is a stillborn baby. And they're like, all right, the baby survives. So at least the baby does survive, and, but Carl, I mean, that's some traumatizing stuff, seeing your mother die, and it's even seeing Maggie. Maggie was very traumatized by it also, and still holding the baby, and they're like, how do I tell Rick? And Rick finds out when Lori's not there, and Rick goes crazy. He cries. He says, no, like, this can't be happening. And he's going off the deep end because of this also, because you get to see, all right, before all this is like, because she is around, he plays kind of the tougher guy and plays like, alright, I don't care about Lori, you're a bad mother, blah, blah, you're doing all this, I'll play cold on you. But you see in this episode when she's in danger and when she dies, he cares about her. It's still his wife. He still loves her. Yes, he could play the colder person, but you get to see him break down. And I think if you hold yourself enough back with these emotions, you're going to explode. And that's what happened in this episode. He explodes and he breaks down. And I think Lori's death and T-Dog's death is going to affect a lot of people. And this episode, for me, was not just one of the best episodes of the season. It definitely was the best episode of the season. It's only been episode 4, but definitely one of the best episodes of the series. A lot of twists and turns. I know Lori dies. I mean, I'm not certain about this, but I'm pretty sure she gets shot when her baby gets shot also, because she was holding her baby in her hands, and that's what happens, how she dies. So the death, I think, for comic book fans are very surprising, because she died in a different way in this. She died with labor, and I think that was definitely interesting, and I think all of this episode was definitely twists and turns, action, surprises, and then having the mix with McCone and Andrea's story kind of lighten the mood a little. And again, Andrea, I don't know what's going on with her, because you can't really, she's very gullible, and I think it made me crack up seeing with Andrea, then going back to the tense parts of Rick and the group, then going back to Andrea and McCone, and Andrea being like, oh, let me take a drink with the governor. Let's trust the governor. You know, her being very gullible, even though the person she should be trusting is McCone. And McCone's like, we can't trust him. We have to go. We'll go to the coast, blah, blah, blah. So I think it was kind of fun to see both them and, like, seeing that was a lot of tension with Rick and then having, you know, a little less tension with Angie and McCone. So this episode was brilliant, I thought. You know, again, just twists and turns. You don't expect what happens with Lori's death. You're like, all right, but she will survive, right? And then T-Dog dying. I just think 2 deaths in 1 episode. I think that's just surprising enough. And then how the deaths happen. Is the baby a girl or boy? I don't know. I think that should be kind of surprising also. And I'm definitely excited to see what happens with the next episode with that. And again, more reactions. Next episode is going to be reactions to Lori's death. And not just Rick crying, but what is he going to say about Lori? Will they have like kind of a funeral for them? Because I think they should have some kind words to say about Lori and T-Dog. And I think next episode is going to be really good. But this episode was really great and one of the best episodes of the series, I think. It's just really brilliant. A lot happened and it was really great. I give this 5 stars. Watch this episode. It was really awesome. A lot of stuff happened. Character development for characters that did die and characters that you kind of hated. Those are 2 characters I really didn't like. And they just made them redeem them, you know. And you know, the one thing, like I said, one thing with Lori, I always thought she was a bad mother, but sacrificing her life for her child shows she is a really great mother, because that's hard to do. She knew she was gonna die, but she did it anyways. And she wasn't sure if that baby was alive. She's like, oh, I'm not even sure. I don't even feel the baby kicking. She wasn't even sure, 100% sure that the baby was alive, you know. So I think that was definitely interesting, and watch this episode if you haven't yet, and tell me your thoughts of what, the deaths, everything about this episode, and what's gonna happen next. So I give 5 stars. Can't wait until next episode. I'll do a review for the next episode on Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's Comic Uno, and guys, don't forget to follow me on Twitter for Comic Uno and the Random Situations. Bye, guys.